Good morning and welcome. This is a regular meeting of the Pipestone County Commissioners. It is 9 o'clock, November 27th. These meetings are recorded. Serving today, we've got Commissioner Luke Johnson, Commissioner Chris Hollingsworth, Commissioner Bruce Koyman, Commissioner Les Nath, myself, Dan Wildermuth, and also our County Administrator, Steve Ewing. If you'd all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You received a copy of the agenda in your packet. Also, a copy of the agenda was posted as well. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda as presented?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I would like to add an auditor warrant for Friday. And I'll pass this around. This is for the Auditor Treasurer's Office, for licenses for Laserfish, for 2 employees upstairs in the Auditor Treasurer's Office for $1,871.88 to be added to the auditor warrants for Friday.
Mr. Chair, with that addition, I would move to approve the agenda.
Okay, it's been moved, and is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the agenda as amended. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
And opposed, the same. Passes unanimously. Okay, then moving on to the warrants, then the auditor warrants. We've got one for the approval of minutes from November 13th. Also the auditor warrants then from November 13th, 15th, and 21st. Hospital warrants of $502,000, $294.88. And also the one that was just added here then for the Laserfish for $1,871.88.
Move to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve auditor warrants. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Consent agenda is passed. Okay. On the agenda then, we've got Nick Bergman, our highway engineer. We're going to go over some fuel bids. Nick, if you come forward, please. Welcome.
Good morning.
Morning.
In your packet, you had a request for board action. It was to set a letting date for taking fuel bids. If you remember last year, we ended up rejecting all of them. We didn't hardly get any. And I think one local one and one out of the area one. So we did some digging around and we found out our local guys can't lock prices in for that long, so they're kind of just flat out gambling. But we did some more calling around this year, and it sounds like we could perhaps get some local competition if we only bid it out for 6 months, because I think they can lock it in that far out. So if that's something you'd like to do, we could start advertising for, say, 6 months. I did find a typo in what I sent to you. I wrote last time we took bids for 30,000 gallons of gasoline. This should have been 37.5. So half of that quantity would be 18,750, not the 15,000 I wrote in there. And then we would also probably want to adjust that a little bit to so we get like even tanker loads, because that kind of cuts out them having to drop it off somewhere else and reload it on their truck and bring it in. So we'd adjust those quantities I wrote there to kind of match tankers. So it'd be roughly what I put there, but it'd be a little bit off. We'd probably, see what we have for inventory, try to predict it the best we can, and then, right before we kind of send out the ad, we'd adjust it to whatever we feel it should be. But it'd be ballpark, these numbers here.
Just to refresh our memories then with the new tank that we put in, of course that was part of our discussion at the time, we'd be able to take larger quantities and so forth.
Yep, we can take a full tanker.
Yep.
Like we get down so far, we call for a tanker and we bring it in.
And is this gas or diesel? Or can we do?
We do both of them. We can take tankers on each of them.
So what is our capacity then in their 2 tanks?
I think they're both 10,000 gallon tanks.
10,000 each.
I think so, you're
I
right.
remember right.
And that's what a tanker or transport hauls, how much?
Nope. Diesel, they can haul 7,500 gallons. on a tanker. And gas, they can haul 8,500 gallons. And the difference is that diesel fuel is heavier than gasoline.
Yep.
So I think we'd probably actually do like 17,000 gallons of gas, which would be 2 tankers, and then 15,000 gallons of diesel for Pipestone, and then another 10,000 from the outlying shops. Is my best guess right now on what we'd end up doing, but.
But with our capacity at 10,000, we could get it down to where we've got just enough room for a full tanker.
Yep, that's what we do when we get it low enough to
Right.
where we can fit a full tanker, then we call for it. Over the years, you get a little bit of, say, junk or whatever on the bottom of the tanks. We don't want to run it dry.
Right.
Be picking that up and plugging fuel filters, but, we want to leave ourselves a little bit of room in case, say, you'd get a nasty snowstorm right when you start getting down there, so. As soon as we can hold it, we call for it. It might take a day or two to get there, and then.
Are you ready to need fuel soon, or do you think I'm just thinking fuel's down right now, if you could get some good bids.
Yeah.
It may go up, may go down some more, but maybe the 6-month thing would make some sense. But it's reasonable now.
Yeah.
But 6 months from now, it may be better, maybe a little higher, but you're gambling, you don't know that, so. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't-
there's no way to predict
that
the
if you
future.
can-
It can work to our benefit either way.
Yeah.
So
And-
how close are you to needing fuel at this point?
I didn't check the levels. I don't know.
Plus, we don't have to pay for the last 6 months until 6 months from now either, so
Right.
it gives you that too,
Um,
I think that's fine if you.
we could, all we'd be out by doing this would be roughly the $100 newspaper ad. We could still reject all the bids come the first of the year, or, well, December 28th or 26th. If you wanted, we could reject them all, and then we'd only
You
be
have to
out.
put it in the paper, can you just contact your local suppliers?
I think you have to bid it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because of the dollar amount? Yep.
yeah,
Half the fuel, you wouldn't be bidding for as high.
or it might just be a small ad in the paper referencing our website, I believe. We would probably, I don't know if we've been contacting them directly or not, just to make sure. I'd have to check on that, but, say at the end of the 6 months, if we feel it's too volatile to lock in, we can just bid tankers as we need them for the rest of the year.
That's kind of what I was thinking, and Bruce
It would go
alluded
up
to
a
it
lot,
too,
you
right
could just
now.
buy a smaller quantity, later
Yeah.
if that's necessary.
Yeah.
We could, so maybe that's the best way to do it, like when prices are low now, we do a 6-month bid, and then if they're a little higher, if we feel they're a little higher, then we just bid tanker by tanker as we need it, to finish out the year, assuming the first of the year is. a
And
low
when we
point.
buy a tanker, do we have to do it through one of our local distributors, or can we go directly to the terminal and buy a tanker from the terminal? Not that I want to cut out our middleman, but at the same
Yeah,
time, if there's a savings for the taxpayers.
That I don't know.
I think they typically bid it right down pretty cheap anyway, because all they do is write a check for it, collect from you.
Right.
I think
Yeah,
they
just
cut
kind
it
of a
pretty-
middleman, make a few phone calls, I suppose.
Because the tanker farms may not work individually with small loads like this.
Right, yeah, there may be who knows, like an extra license or something that we don't have, that the locals do have, that, because it's hazardous material, so.
Yep. So where we're at today then, because we did specifically advertise for these bids, we got these bids in, we need to take action on these or.
No,
or
I'm just
reject
asking
all.
to set a letting.
Looking to set. a
So we haven't
bid
even
on-
set a bid date on it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just, I was looking at the December 26th meeting. It's right, it's first of the year. I
Right.
feel like it's typically the lowest, so.
And we realize that this is what we've done in the past because where prices are at right now, it's not really in our interest to go ahead and lock in anything,
Well,
so,
fuel was up a little yesterday, oil was up.
yeah.
Okay.
They'll come back to the pumps in a few.
But I mean, typically, fuel prices are the lowest of the year around Christmas, so it makes good sense to go out for prices at that time. Yes, I would move that we set the letting date for December 26th at 10:30.
And then if we don't like the prices, we can just reject them all.
Yeah.
Right.
If we want.
Turn out or anything. I would second the motion.
Move and second that we do actually do that. Okay, so it's been moved and seconded that we do go out for bids. What is the gallonage that we're going to be looking for in the bids?
Roughly 17,000 of gas, and then roughly 25,000 of diesel.
Okay,
I think it'd be 17,000 gas, 15,000 diesel in Pipestone, and 10,000 in our outlying shops. But I just want to as we get a little bit closer to sending the ad out, just look at what we've got where and possibly adjust that a little bit. I think it'll stay at those numbers, but that's why I put that last sentence in there. We may adjust our quantities slightly, but
Okay.
if you want,
But yeah, just let Nick have the discretion to set the amount as needed.
As needed.
yeah. Otherwise, if I do have those numbers in case you wanted them locked in for sure, I can.
I don't see any reason for that.
Your own discretion.
It'll probably stay at that, but it might change just a little bit.
Okay, good. So it's been moved and seconded then to set a letting date of December 26th for fuel, and then again, the amounts will be determined by Nick. Any further discussion or questions? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed, the same. Passed unanimously.
All right.
It's nice that we've got that bigger tank now, that we've got a little bit of discretion on what we can do.
Yes.
Before, we didn't have that latitude, so.
Yep, that helps a lot. Next item I have is a school speed zone study in Edgerton. I believe you were sent out a letter that Dave mailed to them.
Quite a while ago.
Yeah,
That
about
letter was-
9 years ago.
Yeah.
So this has come up in the past. I was working here then, but I have absolutely no recollection of the issue, so. They requested a speed study along County Road 9. And then in talking with them, I found out what they're really after is they want the speed limit lowered in front of the school. So then the school, or the speed zone study folks called me because they were ready to do it. And I talked to them about it, and they said, well, anything is probably going to raise it, which seems a little hard to believe, but, you know, there's some science behind that, and they have protocol to follow, so. So I told them to just hold off on it for right now, because if they do the study and they recommend a speed, we have to post it that. So it would likely have the opposite effect of what they want. So I just told them to wait on it, and then we explored some other options, and the school zone is one option. It's a study that would cost, you know, they've estimated $5,000 to $10,000, excuse me, to do it. And then there's other things involved that they would likely recommend, as you see in the letter there, you know, fence, crossing guards, et cetera. So the city was wondering, you know, if the county would pay for that or participate in that, you know, cost share or whatever. So that's kind of what I'm here to find out. I do have some other thoughts if we want to go that route. If we have put up or improved our signage, we'll just say at the crosswalks. The city's going to repaint them, you know, probably in the spring now when the weather is favorable for repainting. You know, an option we could do is, I thought we could possibly cost share on some, say, round flashing lights on top of the crossing lights. Like there's one on the south side of town, if you've seen that, you know, possibly draw a little more attention to it. And I thought, well, maybe we could cost share in the same manner in which we cost share with those speed signs on the edges of town. There's one in Edgerton, one in Hatfield. You know, we could follow that policy because we have no policy for school zones, and we haven't run into this situation in the past.
Could you maybe elaborate a little bit too? So again, this was back in 2019 when this was discussed before, and Dave had this letter at that point, 2009. 2009.
Yep.
So was it the city council that brought this to you, or was it the school that brought this to you?
It's actually a private citizen and the city clerk
Okay.
kind of brought this up. I'm not sure where it originated or in what, you know, if I didn't get roped into it until a few little ways down the line, you know.
And is there concern about the speed limit just there by the school, or are they concerned about the speed limit on that whole stretch coming through? Do you know?
It's been a point of concern for quite some time out east of town because it's 55 all the way up, coming past a bunch of homes out there.
So there's more to this than just the
But
school.
we've
then.
tried, and Dave's worked on that for years, and the state does not want to lower it out there. And it's kind of out of your hands and the county's hands because the state determines what the speed limit is.
Yeah, we can't pick the speed limit. They do.
And they've talked about that for a long time out there, and they've complained about it, and just the people that live out there have complained about it. They're out walking along the highway in the afternoon or the evening, and the cars are going by 50 miles an hour, and if they're 55, they're going 65, we all know that. And the school is very busy there at certain times, not all the time, but when school's going in and out, and the kids don't all use the crosswalks, you know how that goes, and when there's events at night, they park all along the highway on both sides.
Oh.
And people walk out of the school and they're, you know, just crossing to go to their cars, wherever. So there is a lot of traffic there, and sometimes there isn't an answer to all these problems. You know, you can't, yeah, somebody will get run over or sometime there probably because of cars going through town at ball games and things like that. There's a good chance of an accident there. But the state doesn't cooperate very well with local residents when they request, the people would like to see the speed limits lowered there, all the way from the east side of town, all the way past the schools, past the Cenex. But I don't know if that'll ever happen because of the state, so.
And part of what, I'm not, you know, an expert on how that is set, but I think part of the reluctancy to lower that is creating the big speed differential, you know, someone that is following the speed limit and somebody else who's just kind of not paying attention. You know, you got a big wide flat road, you just feel like you should be driving faster.
You're going 45 or whatever,
Yes.
driving through, and it should be 30 probably.
Yes. Yeah, so that's that's one of the things they call out in their criteria, or, you know, kind of in
I
their
think what would help a
history.
lot is if we had a patrol car sitting there an hour or two a day in the morning and the afternoon, even if there's nobody in it.
Right.
That does more than a lot of signs, but
Mhm.
when we had a deputy out there on the edge of town, Freeman's son-in-law, I think, or son, or somebody lived there for a while, and that slowed people down a lot because the car was sitting there all the time.
But in response to this, then is why we put that radar speed sign up that shows what your speed is coming into town. Yeah, and we did that, was that a year and a half ago, something like that?
Yeah,
And that was in response to the same thing. But now, the question still is that the speed is still too fast going through there, so.
Well, I don't know about what you guys do, but every time I follow somebody into town, it's always too fast. They're never going 30 miles an hour when they get to that sign. They're doing 45 or 50. Then they see then they kind of coast into town. But you know how that goes. And the signs are fine, but they don't, after they've been there 6 months, they don't really pay attention to them.
Right.
A patrol car and a guy that writes a ticket for $100, that gets their attention.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the answer is either. The state is in control of this whole thing, so
Right, we can proceed with the speed study, but, you know, it's probably gonna do the opposite. Have the opposite effect.
What's the
So that's-
cost of the flashers?
I don't know. I could find that out and come back.
Probably a lot less than 5 or 10,000.
it seemed to me they were about $3,500 apiece when we put.
That was
them
for
in.
the radar signs.
Radar
but
signs.
Flashers might be cheaper.
Yeah, that might be.
Yeah,
I'm talking if we had the crosswalks marked, we could put these little signs on there, kind of.
Would they be solar powered then, or how would they work? Would you have to?
I think so.
wire-
I'd have to look.
we've got them in Jasper by the park at the crosswalks. They just flash.
Yeah, that's all they are. You mount them to an existing sign or,
That might not be so bad. I mean, that costs that much.
yeah, I guess my thought, if we wanted to go that way, we could.
It would be something. to-
Yeah, we could cost participate like we do on the speed signs. And then, you know, tell them if they don't feel that's doing anything.
I think you
they
should look
can-
into that and see what they cost and let us know, and then we can think about it.
Yeah, give us something more to chew on.
Must be something, but the whole speed study thing, we already know what the residents there want.
Right.
They want lower speed
And the
limits.
speed study's not gonna do
He's not
that.
gonna tell us that. I don't think they're gonna.
Like you say, we could spend all that money and then go the opposite direction.
It's probably gonna, they told me over the phone that it's likely gonna have the opposite effect of what they want. And then we have to post it at that limit.
Yeah, let's check into the science.
I'm wondering too if there's some correspondence, they're working straight with the DOT, if we want to write some type of a letter recommending or pointing out what we see as an issue here, a safety concern, and we can pen that jointly with Edgerton City Council and ourselves, send that up through the political channel saying this is an issue, And we understand the speed study would possibly only increase the speed we want it the other way. Have we had any discussions with Representative Schumacher and Senator Weber? Could they be of help with this? Could we go through this road?
I would guess that would not help, just because there's like standards set up for how they establish these speeds, and that's in an effort to keep them uniform across the entire state. So I don't think if we asked for something outside of that, I wouldn't think we'd get it.
Even if we point out that we're concerned about the safety of our residents down there.
You know, we can try anything. I'm imagining they're not gonna break protocol for,
Is there a fence along that school ground there?
no. And that's
Probably
one
come
of,
back and say, you gotta
Yeah.
have a fence with gates.
they would
at the
probably say
crossings.
to follow the procedures for,
Right.
you know, school zone. It sounds like speed limit's the last thing to do.
Yep.
There are times of the day when school's out, before school, when school gets out, and with athletic events at night, it's busy there. And the Cenex is very busy. There's a lot of truck traffic there now. And, yeah, there's just a lot of activity there on that stretch, but
In this letter that Dave Halbersma sent to the city council, he made a reference then, back in 2009, to possible mitigation efforts, including fence and so forth along school property, crossing guards.
Right, so,
well, a stop sign right there would probably help too, four-way stop, right on the highway. Slow them down, they'd have to stop, you know.
yeah, I guess I never really thought of that. That actually might help.
And do we have the authority to put a stop sign there? We wouldn't have to go through the state DOT to put a stop sign, do we?
I personally, I'd like to see one on Main Street too, in the middle of town.
I'd have to look
Trucks
at,
come through there and farmers with tractors and wagons and crap, all that, and if you put a stop sign there, they'll go around and come up by the John Deere store and come to the elevator. But a lot of them come driving down Main Street just to look around and see who's in town. And trucks clog up the main street. If you put a stop sign there, they wouldn't stop there. They'd go around.
I never thought of that, I guess, so
I don't know if that's something we can think about, but,
yeah,
It's another option to
some
check
people
out.
would hate it, but I think a stop sign is a good
Yeah.
way to control speeds, but.
kind of thinking out loud, I wonder how much would go into that for us, because it would be such a wide street, the sign would be, you know, way out.
at the side.
Where would you put it, by the Cenex?
I don't know. Probably. Four-way stop.
Is that where that's a busy road?
That's where they come sailing into town, and if you sit there, there's gonna be people going by there 50 miles an hour. I know there is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just throwing that out. I don't know if it's a good
Like if
idea
you
or
put
not.
one at Main and
Good.
County 17,
Yeah,
It'd stop them both
it's happened
directions.
from both ways and wouldn't be the
I
worst.
don't know if that's something the county has authorization to do or not, but something to think about.
well, I could certainly make some calls and find out, that wouldn't be a problem.
Could put a roundabout in there.
I think you want to try to keep traffic flowing,
Yeah, and that's
But-
true.
that's generally speaking, you know, like, we have a safety issue, I think that, you know, safety certainly trumps that, but, I will look into what we can do about it.
So at this point, the steps we've taken so far, the radar speed signs, okay, these flashers that you talked about, is that something that'd be relatively inexpensive, the way it sounds, and something we could add to existing signs?
Yep, yep, that's my understanding of it. I talked a little bit with the clerk in Edgerton, and, you know, they just did it. They added them on our signs.
Oh, the flashers are there already.
Well, on the south side of town, there was a fatality a few years back, if you remember.
There's a little flasher there.
Yep,
Going to the park.
yeah.
Yeah.
We could look at the possibility of adding those same, we have 6 signs there, so, you know, it'd be 6 of these lights.
Yeah, and that's something we could do right away.
Stop signs
Yes.
would be cheaper, yeah.
I think you should look into that and see what you think it's gonna cost and let us know.
Yeah,
And you can tell the city, Michael over there, that we did discuss the possibility of putting up some stop signs and see if that flies, see what their response is to that.
yeah, so I'll bring quotes back at one of the upcoming meetings, and we can kind of,
For both the signs and lights?
for the lights, for the stop signs, and then maybe think about it in the meantime, what, if we'd want to participate or, you know, in like a school zone study, if that's what they chose, and we can kind of give them all the options and kind of see what they think,
Sounds good.
if you want to do it that way.
So then for today's meeting, then we don't have any formal action to take on this as far as the speed zone study, or do we want to take a formal action on that? I don't think we need to.
Let's wait for more
Let's
information.
let Nick
Yeah, I
go
don't
ahead
think
and
you
gather
need
some
to
more
do anything
information.
today. I didn't want to hit you with it all at once. I just kind of wanted to give you something to think about in the meantime. Like, this is coming up, so
Right.
here's some
Well, very good. Appreciate that. Nick, gather some more information for us so we can
Yep,
address
I will do that.
this. That would be very good.
So, Mr. Chair, Nick can educate me just a little bit. So, coming into town from going east, you're 55, and you're at 45, right? And then 30.
From the east going west,
Going-
I believe that's how that is.
Yeah.
From the west coming in from the west going eastbound, come up the hill by this cemetery, you're at 55 on the highway, and then doesn't say, and there are 45 sign there too?
Up to 30 right there.
I think it just drops to 30.
Right by the church there.
55 to
cemetery.
30?
And that's where we put that flashing radar
Right,
sign
okay.
up.
And that'd be fine if people would slow down there.
Yeah.
They, yeah, and you know how, you know, they don't. So.
Now, I also understand that the state has increased the speed limit on some of our other state highways just recently. I believe Highway 30 now is going up to 60 miles an hour. Anything with that, because that is a county road, right, or is that a state road?
It used to be a state road, now it's a county road,
Yep.
so.
So that's still 55, is going to stay 55.
Yep. Yep, they're not changing any county roads, it's just their state roads.
Okay.
So,
Thanks, Nick.
yeah, I didn't have anything else unless you guys have any questions for me.
Anybody, any questions at all? Okay.
Nope,
Thank you, Nick.
all right, sounds good.
Also joining us, we've got our county attorney, Demaine Sandy. Welcome. Morning.
No, we're good, thank you.
Next item we've got on our agenda then is a personnel issue. It'd have to be a closed session according to Minnesota document 13D.052B. So I guess at this time, in order to go into closed session, we need a specific motion to do so.
So moved.
Okay, moved and seconded that we go into closed session for personnel issue under Minnesota statutes. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion or questions? Okay, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
And opposed, the same. Thank you. So we'll have to ask you to,
You have to give a general overview of what,
just that it's a personnel matter, I think is the only requirement that we got, if I'm not mistaken. Have you got any more insight into that, Steve or Demaine?
I know like with property, you have to have the property.
Yeah, we can't identify the personnel, the person at issue. It's just a personnel matter. That the statute gives the board the authority to close for that.
Yeah. So certainly understand the press's need to know, but in this case, this takes precedence, so we do have to go for a closed session. So at 10 o'clock, we're going to have discussions in on sale of tax forfeit property, so I hope you stick around for that as well, too. So great.
This just shouldn't take that long.
And now, I believe we also need to record the closed session. So do we do that differently than what we got with the DVD? Okay, so we'll give Steve a moment to go ahead. For those of you watching the DVD, it is 9:28. So at this point, we will discontinue the DVD because of the closed session, but it will be an audio recording for record-keeping purposes. Okay?
I'll go get Kyle.
Yeah. Okay, so the DVD is back on. It is now 9:43. We're going to open the door back up, and we'll let the public back in, and then we'll come back out of closed session once the public's back in, so.
The recording is stopped.
Okay. So is he tied up with something, or is he coming in? There we go. Okay. Very good. Kyle Kufal from the media. Appreciate your understanding and so forth. Now we need to come back out of the closed session, so I need a motion to that effect.
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded to come back out of closed session. The closed session again was for the personnel meeting. It is now 9:43. Thank you. And again, Kyle, thank you for your understanding of the sensitive nature. This is the way we have to do this.
Mr. Chairman, we'll need a vote on that, please.
Oh, yes, on the motion. We did not vote on the motion. So it's been moved and seconded to come out of closed session. Any further discussion?
Aye.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, the same. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item on our agenda then is with Tyler Reich, our auditor. We're going to talk about the approval of sale of classification of the tax forfeited lands. We're a little bit ahead of schedule. Is Tyler on his way down?
We can take a break.
Yeah, should we do that? Take a short recess? Okay. It is 9:44. We'll take a 15-minute recess. Thank you. Okay, welcome back. It is 9:52. We're back out of recess. Continuing on with our agenda then, we're going to have our discussion on our tax forfeited properties. Tyler, you got some information for us?
Yes. All right. Morning, everybody. Good morning. So this is the annual meeting where we actually set the prices for all of the forfeited properties. And when I say prices, this is obviously the minimum that I can accept at auction. Also, this is the meeting where if any cities have any interest in any parcels, they can express that interest, and then it's up to the county board to determine if they want to convey it to them or not, or we can offer it to the public as well. But we will cross that bridge when we get there. So today, what I have for you first, if you take out the list of forfeited land for public sale, it also has the radon wording statement on there. This are the 12 parcels that I'm looking for approval to sell today. 10 of them forfeited this year, 2 of them forfeited prior years, and we're looking to adjust the price on a couple of those to better suit the market in order to get those sold. So I guess right away we'll just kind of hop into viewing the parcels, because I do have photos for all of them, and then we can kind of discuss the basic prices. Also, the one I will say, the value that is listed under that column corresponds to the assessor's report that I also provided to the county board. It's a mirror off of there. The $500 for like the first parcel, the basic sale price, is also her recommended price on there. But that is not necessarily what we have to set it at, or was the county board. You can set it at whatever you want. That is just her recommendation. So we'll just kind of jump in here. So parcel 15.012.1100 at 241 Railroad Avenue up in Holland. Here is where it's located. It's on the corner of Railroad and, is that Washington? Luke? That's where that's at? Okay. And we actually have 2 parcels that are essentially right next to each other, because this one's 1100 and 1150 is right here. So I won't actually be covering 1150 just because it's right next to it. So let me try to get that thing back over here. Okay, so this is the house that is located at this location. As you can see, there was quite a few assessments before forfeiture, so we do want to factor that in. I will say, when Joyce and myself viewed this property, it doesn't look terrible on the outside. I mean, the garage is shot. It's in terrible shape. There are some motorcycles in the building. I attempted to get hold of the previous owners and got nothing for it. So as far as I'm concerned, they'll go along with the property until said person actually wants them. But I sent them multiple letters and never heard back from them. So.
But with a vehicle, isn't there a registration and a title on the vehicle, so that's separate from the property, or is that considered part of the property now?
We sell it as is. We're washing our hands of it since it's in the property. It's in the garage.
But if there's someone that comes forward and says they have a title for one of those,
then they'll still get it. Exactly. Then they'll still get it. That's up to the private owner. That's up to the next owner to deal with. We're washing our hands of it all. I did what's required of me, is trying to reach out to the owners, and I got nothing back. So.
And on these assessments, and so on the right-hand column, we've got the assessments. What makes up those assessments?
I didn't bring the actual breakdown. I will say for this one, that was delinquent mowing, snow removal, so on and so forth. That's up to the city to determine if they want to reassess those or not, because we cancel them upon forfeiture, and the city has the option to reassess to the new owner if they so wish.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay. All right. So this is the house itself. This is a back bedroom, or the bedroom in the house. As you can see, there's the entire roof has caved in. There's really not much to it. The roof's shot. There's no water heater. There's no piping. Everything was stripped. Luke can.
I know a guy that used to live in this house.
Okay.
And so close to the railroad tracks that when the train goes by, stuff would actually vibrate off shelves, off the wall. I mean, it's in horrible condition. I'd recommend a very nominal fee on this.
I will echo that as walking through the property personally, that, yeah, I mean, it's absolutely shot. There's really no saving this house at this point. There's no infrastructure there. I mean, the water heat's in there, but they cut all the piping, or the previous owner, whoever, somebody did cut out all the piping. So there, even if it's sitting there, you can't actually use the thing. So that's what we have for that.
Anybody, potentially neighbors, anybody?
I have,
You know, or
I've heard of the neighbor to the east maybe having some interest, but they never actually, that's just their hearsay. He's never actually expressed his interest to me. Talked to the city to see if they would maybe want it. And they said, no, they have no interest in it as well, which kind of surprised me. I thought they would maybe want it just to get it out of there, but, no, so I haven't really had any true interest in the parcel at all yet. So I echo Luke's sentiment that this one should be as low as we possibly could to try to convince people to, move forward with it.
looking for a number as we go through these? to-
Yes, we'll set each one by parcel.
I guess
Yep.
I would kind
I'd go with
of
$1.
mention to Luke on it. It's his area. You're familiar with the
Yeah,
area. so-
this is a total piece of junk. More of a liability than
It's
any
worth.
benefit,
Correct.
Hopefully somebody will knock it down and
right?
mow the lot.
So then instead of the recommended base sale price listed here, 500, you'd rather see
I'd recommend $1.
dollar, okay? Okay, and so that's in the form of, do we need motion
No,
on
you don't,
this?
we just need a agreement.
Consensus.
Yeah, we'll do the resolution for the approval at the end.
And
Yep.
I'm fine with the dollar.
Next owner's gonna have to tear it down, so I agree with the dollar.
Okay,
The next one is a sliver parcel that's essentially attached to this parcel. I do have one photo of it, so you can kind of get a better view of it. And that's the old photo, crap. This is actually is right here. There was a mistake on pictometry. I just switched it after I brought that drive down. So there is a little mistake. So it is right here, not right there. So it is in that backyard of the neighboring house there. And I guess if we set the other one at $1, my recommendation would be $1 for that one as well. So
what kind of size are these plots, footage? I don't see footage on there.
that one, it's in the assessor's report that I provided to you in the board packet, or I emailed it to you
Yeah.
yesterday,
Yeah.
so it's in that. Thought I had that too.
The other one's .02.
Here it is. Okay. Yes, the 1100 is .22 acres in size. Since it's kind of a weird shape, it doesn't have the dimensions on it. The other one is, like Luke said, .02 acres. So they are not large parcels by any means. So if everybody's okay with those two, we can move on.
I think so, yeah.
All right, so we'll move on to the city of Jasper. Doo-doo-doo. Where the heck is this one? So this one is Bowen Hall at 17.200-1024 at 201 Wall Street. The assessor did not view this property because of the safety concerns at that time. We weren't aware of the shape of the building. Obviously, it does have many assessments on there. Les, I know you had some information on this one, if you want to share that.
Yes, an individual from Jasper has had an environmental study done on it, and the sheetrock upstairs has asbestos in it, and the bid come back, I think, just under $25,000 for the removal. Downstairs, hid behind the drywall, you will find the same thing. So you're probably looking at around 50,000 plus, because they have to remove the drywall to get at that.
Yep.
And the structure, I think most of you have seen it, is not in good shape. And it has deteriorated a lot in the last month.
Correct, and that doesn't shock me there, so. And I will kind of to play off of that, as far as the organization that still, as far as I'm aware, they are still very interested in acquiring the parcel, if you guys choose to sell it. I've drawn a blank on the name of the organization, but I do. Reclaim Communities still has their interest. They actually sent me a letter stating that. saying that they would like to move forward with some use of the building instead of tearing it down. So it's completely up to the board if you wish to go that route and get this parcel sold, or as Les stated, we have some costs coming up with that one, so.
Well, I think it's obvious with any property we got that it's in the best interest to get it back on the tax roll. So if somebody interested in buying it, that's terrific.
It won't go back on the tax rolls. It goes to a 501c.
Correct. So yeah, it still won't be getting taxed, but the value is very minimal on that parcel to where it won't really affect it a whole lot anyways.
Wouldn't be obligated to pay for the issues.
Comment back there.
Correct.
It's the same outfit that owns the school, and
Right.
nothing's been done there.
Correct.
People aren't happy.
Is there anybody here in attendance that's got anything that they'd like to add? Please, ma'am, if you come forward. Either, I don't know if that microphone is on, so maybe if you'd sit by Tyler, or you want to turn the mic on, either one. If you'd introduce yourself, please, and welcome.
There you go. Sorry about my mess.
All right, yes, thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Alicia Cordes. I'm the president of the Board of Reclaim Community, and so we have been in existence for 3 years now. We formed fairly quickly about 2015 when the school came up for auction. So I have been involved with the school from the day one, as well as 6 other people on my board. We have one contractor that's been with us since the start. We have a second one who has now joined us as a board member as well. So we do have some expertise in the area. So as far as this building, we have looked at it, but I would also like to point out that when it comes to the taxation of it, because we're a 501c3 does not mean we do not pay taxes. We pay taxes on the school to the county, and we are not inhabiting the building currently, so we cannot pay we pay taxes on anything that we are not up in utilizing in as an office or something. So this building would be a while before we could move into it, and so we would pay taxes on it. So there would be a tax benefit to the community. As well, we have actually raised almost $100,000 for the renovations of Jasper School, and we've been making constant progress. We have just in the last 3 months alone have had over 500 hours donated by community members working there, and we have spent $3,000 worth of roll-off dumpsters that we have filled with existing finishes that have been added in the remodeling in the last 50 years that have actually contributed to the decline of the building, because a lot of times the new finishes that were put in hinder the ventilation and HVAC systems and actually contribute to problems. So once we removed, wet drywall and some damaged plaster, wood, tile, any ceiling tiles that have become moldy or soggy or anything, it's been amazing to see the drying out of the building. We have no moisture in the basement right now, which is really unusual for a building that does not have heat. We've improved ventilation and things like that. So we are continually working towards accomplishing our goal, and we realize it's a very lofty goal. However, it's also something that it has the potential to not only save the county and the city of Jasper money in the long run, it also has potential to revitalize the economy by providing a place for things, whether it's residences, business incubation, things like that, that will benefit the tax base in the future. We are within weeks of receiving National Register confirmation that we have had our final draft approved. So the Jasper School will be on the National Register coming up. The final board meeting to approve the whole form, which is a 90-page document detailing the history, the construction, everything of the school, that will be approved in March. And so I've just been invited to attend that meeting where they will consider it. But we've had a consultant working for over a year on it, and we've been in the review process since July. So it's been a long process, but this is the avoidance of this is what we have in Bauman Hall. It is already on the National Register. It was put on there in the early 80s, late 70s by the Historical Society in Jasper. And that was before you had to go through a process of a $10,000 grant, writing in a gigantic document. This was a very simple form that they were able to put on. And in my opinion, and the opinion of the contractor, Terry Skyberg, who's on our board, it would cost more to tear down the building than to build that building again. And several $100,000 probably in just demolition costs. And so we would like to avoid that because we believe that the historic value is intangible, but it can provide historic benefit and economic benefit to the community. When you look at revitalizing these, there are several resources that you can look at to find out the economic benefits, which is also in conjunction with the social and cultural benefits to a community. But economics specifically, that the Preservation Green Lab is one. There's a website that details, they've had detailed economic studies done on what revitalization of historic buildings does to communities. And there's also a book written by a gentleman who is, he runs a real estate and development firm and an economic viability firm in Washington, D.C. He's actually from South Dakota. And he has written a whole book on the economic benefits because he saw there was a gap between developers and community and people who were looking at the economics of restoring old places and what it means to us. And so when you restore an old building, you provide more jobs to the community in the long run than you do with demolition and new construction. It is actually more not only financially feasible, but also economically, environmentally feasible. It takes 10 to 80 years for a new built building to overcome the costs of its construction and the environment. So when they look at retrofitting old buildings, there was a gigantic study done several years ago by Mayor Bloomberg in New York, and he actually did an energy audit of just hundreds of buildings in New York because he wanted to say, we want to have a green community. We want our city to be on the map as being one of the most environmentally friendly communities. And he actually found, without even having an intention of preservation, that when you looked at retrofitting old buildings, they had a far greater energy efficiency, and every 10 years, anything built before 1939 had an energy efficiency that was far surpassed anything built after that. And so there's a lot of benefits to it, and I guess this maybe isn't time to go into everything, but I will say that our plan with the building is, and I've sent everyone, I think, a document that explains what we want to do. Whether or not we retain the building in the long term is not the primary issue. The primary issue is to acquire the building, put it into a state in which either our organization can utilize it and have it be a tax collecting and benefit of the community, or finding a developer in the future who will have the finances to do it.
Very good.
So
I certainly applaud your efforts for this.
Yeah, thank
you. Kind of the task that we've got the matter of hand right now. As you know, this property was tax forfeited, went through the whole procedure, and that's why it now is the county's responsibility to dispose of this property.
Mm-hmm.
So to have a group such as yourself that is interested in preserving it, this is tremendous.
Yeah.
There are procedures set for us how we can do it. We can't sell it directly to you. It has to go on an auction. So at this point, the reason for this particular proceeding right now then is to set a minimum value on this for the bid, and then it go out for bid process. And I certainly am encouraged that you've got a group together that's going to actively pursue this building. That's terrific. But again, you don't have the exclusive right to it either.
Yes,
so it's going to go on the
absolutely.
public bid,
We understand that. We just want to make a case for the fact that there is interest in it.
Right.
So we would definitely like to avoid any talk of demolition, and we would like to have, we've had it assessed by a couple structural engineers, and we're, going to get a full bid. And our process is, the sooner we can get that done, the sooner we can apply, and the legacy grant cycle comes up in March and April. So.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, Tyler, we're talking like the end of December is when these are actually going to be the auction.
Yes.
Was it the 27th? Did we specifically
Correct,
set that date?
December 27th, and
Yeah, so-
I'll remain in touch with Reclaim. We've discussed this
Yep.
quite a lot, and I guess it's my recommendation to let it go towards auction at a very reasonable price to hopefully let Reclaim, hopefully they get into it.
Right.
So that they can support the development.
Does Reclaim also understand that, again, there is this assessment, the $4,433.18 assessment, and that is the city's assessment?
They're all the city's assessments.
They're all the city's assessments. And in the past, on properties like this, it's up to the city. They may forgive, they may not forgive these assessments, and that, we've got no control, no authority over that. Our only authority is setting a base price to have this for the sale, so.
Yeah, we kind of went into that with the school because it was on auction, and there were certain tax assessments we had to pay.
There are
at the
assessments on that as well,
So
too.
that would be a similar situation.
Good.
Yes.
Tyler, what would you consider to be a fair starting point for the auction?
As low as possible. I mean, to be true, to be completely honest, the building as is doesn't really have any value. Because of all of the work, right, with all of the work that has to be done that Reclaim wants to do, that's what's gonna put value in the property right now. I mean, yes, it has tax value per se, but on the market value, this thing doesn't really have a whole lot of value. That's why I would recommend keeping it as low as possible. I mean, a nominal amount would be fine with me. we haven't had a lot of costs this year, especially with this property. Obviously, we know tax forfeit properties are sunk costs anyways, and I would like to keep this one low simply because of the fact that it has a negative value right now.
Well, if you started at $1 and there are 2 or more people interested, they may bid it up to some other number, but I
Right.
guess that's
Correct.
a starting point. It's just.
$1?
Exactly, and then you can just let the auction go as
Because
is.
the dollar's not going to be the sale price, it's going to be whatever the auction brings.
It may
Correct.
very well be,
Yes.
but
Right.
there's only- we don't know.
Right,
We're essentially guaranteeing that we get it sold if you put it at $1.
Less, it's his,
Negative value it is, how much
That's
are you
right.
gonna wanna bid?
exactly. Well, I'm fine putting just $1 on it, just like I said, the absolute,
bid, so.
absolute minimum. And again, it's no reflection on the potential for your group. I wish your group well with this. I hope they can make this happen.
You just understand that anybody who's coming into a property in a town like Jasper, that a developer isn't gonna be more attracted by a building that has had grant funds put into it to remove some of the safety issues and hazards
Right.
versus coming into it, having to pour their own money into it and not getting a return as quickly.
bet.
That's definitely.
Well, good.
That.
Yep. And thank you for coming forward. I appreciate that.
Okay. All right, so.
You got another one in Jasper as well?
Yeah, we have a couple here in Jasper yet. So we'll move on to 17 from 200.0830 at 109 Second Street West. All right, let's pull that bad boy up here. This one is a small turquoise house, I guess. This is where it's at. This is Second. Baldwin Hall is actually right down here. This is where the grain bins, this is the gas station in Jasper, just to kind of give you an understanding of where it's at. This one is shot, I guess you could say.
Some
Les
history on
can
it.
speak to it.
Back in probably
I'll kind of flip
early
through the photos.
2000s, there was a drug raid on there. So it's
Yep.
always been condemned. Nobody could live in it. It's just kind of falling apart. And the person that owned it is passed away, and that's how we got it.
Correct. And as you can see, I mean, this is the inside of the property. It's it's shot. I mean, you saw there's no stairs on the deck. The deck's essentially falling off. It is a good-sized lot. It's a 50 by 150 lot. So it is a pretty, and that has a good benefit to it. But beyond that, this one doesn't have any value whatsoever.
$1.
Yeah. $1?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I recommend on that one, just because it's so, it is so shot. So.
Again, there are city assessments on this one as well, too.
Correct. I mean, a large majority of these, I do know that none of them have bonded debt.
Right.
And that's usually if a city, obviously it's up to the city, but historically the cities won't reassess them if there's no bonded debt associated with it. I would say it's their call, but that's usually their stance on it. As long as there's no bonded debt, they try not to hinder the new owner, so. All right, the next one down in Jasper is parcel 17.600.0800 at 204 6th Street East. This one has had quite a bit of interest in it. This is at kind of where it's at, between 6th, between 2nd and 3rd, obviously on 6th Street East, kind of essentially in the heart of Jasper. This one, I would say, is probably the best. It is definitely in decent shape. Just go through the photos. I mean, the outside is in pretty good shape. The garage is fine. Really just needs a wash. That's the inside of the garage. A decent, I mean, this is just dirt. It just needs to be washed, essentially. Yep. The inside, this is, the front door is directly to our left, and the kitchen, it's kind of an awkward layout, but, and then behind me is the kitchen, so I essentially just did a 180. This is the living room, and then the bedroom 1 and bedroom 2. There's a picture of one bedroom. Here's the bathroom. I will say, pointed out there, it was weatherized or winterized, if you want to put it that way. It was being checked up to the first year of delinquent taxes. So someone was keeping an eye on that. It is winterized, so all the pipes and everything should be good to go there. This one I feel is a lot more move-in ready than all the other ones. Obviously, it needs to be fixed up and have a little loving care done to it, but this one definitely has some potential for individuals. And like I said, I've toured this 5 or 6 times from people in Jasper, so there is a lot of interest in it between neighbors and just close properties, and it's just more of the basement. This up here is the living room, front door, and you walk through, and this is kind of where the washer and dryer would be at, so on and so forth. And then behind me is the back door. So it is a small house. It has a little bit of an awkward layout, but I think there is a lot of potential for this one. Joyce has the assessed value, or she had land 3,800, building 5,000 for a recommended starting price of 1,000. Personally, I don't think you really need to bump off that a whole lot. You guys can cut it in half if you want to try to entice a bid to ensure it gets sold, but it's completely up to you.
I guess I was thinking 500.
Yep. I mean, we can definitely cut that in half to ensure that it gets
A
sold.
lot of cleanup, it looks like.
Right.
It's kind of a haircut and a shave.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And again, setting the minimum price at 500, that doesn't, again, reflect on the value of it. It could be,
Exactly.
it will go more than that if there's a couple parties interested in it.
Correct.
And with all these properties too, we also need to clarify that we cannot discriminate against any bidder on this. I know it's always a concern is this party capable of actually doing something with this, or is it just going to kick the can down the road? It's going to come back to us in the future. We can't make that determination. We don't know. We certainly wish anybody the best on this, if they can go proceed with it.
As long as they can afford to pay what they bid, they get it.
Yeah, exactly. We cannot
all we care
set any
about.
limitations on that. We can't say you have to have a business model. It's
Yep.
the low bidder gets it, period. Excuse me, the high bidder gets it, period. And we wish them well, so.
Correct. Our goal is to get them on the tax rolls. That's all we really, truly care about.
Yeah.
So,
Everybody's pretty much in agreement, 500. would be
500 for that one.
At this, because we want to encourage people to bid on these, so.
correct. Okay. So that's all we have for Jasper.
Enough.
That's 3 is enough. That is true. I completely concur. Since we're moving on to Pipestone, I did put the letter down for the city of Pipestone, expressing their interest in essentially all the parcels. Obviously, Jeff Jones is behind me. I don't know if Jeff, you want to say something there? Or?
Would you want to come forward, Jeff, please?
If that's all right.
Absolutely. You're welcome. You're always welcome. We might put you on the hot seat, but you're always welcome. Jeff.
That would be unusual.
Mr. Chairman, no legal questions.
No legal questions.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Introduce yourself then, Jeff.
Jeff Jones, Pipestone City Administrator, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to come before you and speak briefly about the properties. I did get a letter to Tyler very late in the day yesterday, and I apologize for that. But apparently he was able to get a copy of it to you, and in the public notice that we received as part of the hearing today, it invited government entities to express ideas, plans, et cetera, regarding the tax forfeited properties. And both the city EDA and last Monday night, the city council took formal action regarding 5 properties that were listed in my letter as being possible projects for the city to undertake, a city or EDA, because in some cases, the EDA, as the board's aware, has been very active in a joint effort between the city, the EDA, Minnesota West, and Pipestone area schools, rejuvenating the carpentry program at Midwest. We have taken over, redone, and resold a blighted property on Fifth Avenue Southwest. We're currently working on one next door to it. And the property to the north of the one we're currently working on is on one of the properties that were listed as being expressing an interest in. It is, as I outlined in the letter, our plans to utilize that renovation program with Minnesota West and the area schools to attempt to acquire at auction 2 other properties, remodel them and resell them. I would add the one house that we did do on Fifth Avenue Southwest, the city, the EDA, was able to recoup all of their costs in that. It certainly renovated the looks of that block, and now we're trying to get the next one done. And Minnesota West, Solomon Derby, who's a direct instructor of that program, is already looking for new houses for his next class to tackle. So a couple of these properties, again, as I described in my letter, would be ones that we would utilize for that purpose. In one case, the city has already demoed the property at, was it 515 Fifth Street Southeast. We had obtained a court order to do so. That property had been condemned, it had been empty for quite a period of time. And so we did proceed pursuant to that court order, and so that is currently a blank, bare lot. And we would hope, if we were able to acquire the property at 521, to combine those two lots. They do adjoin, and it would be a nice corner lot, and again, improving the street and the neighborhood. I guess we also, moving back to Fifth Avenue Southwest, we would plan to demo the house at 513. It, again, is condemned. It's in very poor condition, which is quite visible if you just do a drive-by of it. And finally, the one on South Hiawatha was brought up by the mayor at the last city council meeting. He has some ideas regarding it being utilized more as a public purpose nature. It backs right up on the railroad tracks. Commissioner Johnson mentioned the railroad effect on the house in Holland. Well, it has to be very similar. When that house did exist, the city did take that down at the permission of the then owner of the property. It is currently a bare lot. So those are the properties that we are expressing an interest in. We realize, again, the purpose of the meeting today is to set a value, but again, echo the chairman's comments, we're looking to get these properties back on the tax rolls. It benefits your organization, the city, the school district, and our venture with the schools have been very successful so far, and we plan to continue that project. The council plans to continue to fund that, as does the EDA. So again, I heard mentioned you can't control who takes, who's a high bidder and what they may do with it. I can assure you our intentions are, if we can acquire them, to get them fixed up, get them looking better, and get them on the tax rolls, because that's good for all of us.
Tyler, do we have to follow the auction procedure, or can we just make an agreement with the city?
Exactly.
As that situation, and they would know where they're at, and
We would know where we're at, sure. So as Minnesota statute goes, and that's why we have to give the city that 60 days notice, we can actually essentially convey those parcels, or the intent to convey those parcels, to the city today. That's why I wanted Jeff to come up here and express his interest in those first, and you can set the price or whatever. I will say, if we're simply just want to convey it to the city and to allow the city as free as possible without any deed restrictions or anything from the state, it is much easier to simply just set the parcels, the market value of these at $1, convey them to the city, and the city will get a free deed where they can do the property as they wish without any deed restrictions.
what about 204 Main? Is that
204 Main, that one,
interest to the city?
that's the movie theater.
Is that one that they
I
decided?
do not have any interest, I do not have any authority to express any interest in that. I will leave it at that.
We can't make a package deal here.
As attractive as that is, I respectfully decline.
Point of clarification, though, so we would not be violating any public interest by conveying this directly to the city?
No.
Because I thought it had to go on public auction.
No, it does not have to go to public auction. If you're conveying it to a taxing authority, which would be the city, school district, so on and so forth, we can actually convey it to them before the auction, because that's in the best interest of the public.
If it can speed up the process, the city knows where
Correct.
they're at. They can
Essentially,
set it
Dan,
wait
that's
a
the-
month or
right.
two. It's better to, if we can do it that way, I would be in favor.
Exactly. Essentially what Bruce just said there, that process is built into the statutes to ensure it's up to you guys to essentially to determine if it would be better to have the city and their abilities and their EDA to develop these parcels to ensure that they get back on their tax rolls at a good value after they're remodeled, instead of going to auction and selling it to a private individual and not really knowing.
Who may or may not do anything with it.
Correct. Yeah, so that is built into the statute to allow the city to take over the parcels.
And do I understand from the statute, maybe this is a misunderstanding on my point, that going forward, if we have another property that is tax forfeited in the future, does it even come to us, or does the city have the first opportunity at it before it even comes to the county?
No, it comes to the county. So you might remember what you're kind of thinking there probably 3 or 4 years ago. Previously, the city had first choice, and we actually had to seek the city's approval to sell. The state actually flipped that on its head, where it actually comes to the county, and the county can offer it to the city, and you just have to listen to their
So it used to be the
plans.
other way around, but they
Correct.
changed that statute.
They changed that. So now you guys have the approving power, and the city can just express their interest instead of us relying on the city.
Well, I certainly am in favor of getting the city involved in this, absolutely.
Absolutely, like with the two properties that are next to each other in Fifth Avenue, or Fifth Street Southeast, that, like the plans you have for that would be, in my opinion, way better than if we sold them individually
You
or.
look at the economic development, you
Yes.
look at the educational part of it, you also make affordable housing. This really fits three criteria that we really need badly in this community. So
It's a really
I
good
think it's a great
location.
thing, too. So,
Well, do we need a motion to do this?
This, I would,
And I
we
would
don't
make a
necessarily have
motion
to,
to approve the sale of the properties in question to the city of Pipestone, and it's up to Tyler's discretion and Jeff Jones.
Sure.
to
Yep,
work
I
out
will
the
work with-
Details and
Yep.
move forward. At $1 per.
at $1 per parcel. Okay.
So it's been moved and
Second.
seconded to convey these 5 properties listed here for $1 each property, so $5 total.
Correct.
Convey these properties to the city, okay? You sure you don't want to throw a 6th one in there, Jeff? 50 cents? Go ahead.
We won't take a check. It's gonna be cash.
Thank you, but no.
Any further discussion on this at all? Okay, hearing none, all in favor? Aye. And opposed, the same. On a unanimous decision. Thank you, Jeff.
I just want to thank the commissioners. Again, going back to Fifth Avenue one, we've had so much feedback from folks just driving by the change just on that street. And like I said, we're working on the second house. Now, we'll obtain that problem property on the north. And so we've impacted the whole street. And then you referenced one over on Fifth Street Southeast. When we took that house down, we had neighbors coming from all directions as it was going down, thanking us. So if we can do this, it's very impactful to the community. But I want the commissioners to know we really appreciate your cooperation too, because it's making a change in the town. And taxes are great, and it's a good thing, and it helps government keep running, but this intangible thing that helps with the community, I think, is equally important. So I appreciate your cooperation.
Very, very welcome. And then this intangible, I think, is very important that we all cooperate and act and work together, obviously, so.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Yes.
I think too, we should acknowledge Solomon Derby and his program through Midwest, because they did a heck of a job on that property. They did develop and sell already. I know I went when they had the open house and whatnot, and it was remarkable, the change.
Well, the interesting thing about that was how proud those kids were who worked on it. They actually stood in each room, and they would be more than happy to tell you what they did and
Right.
how much it was involved. But it is very exciting to see those kids get involved. And as we all know, we're going to need folks that know how to do that kind of stuff. And I can speak to that personally because I can't do that stuff. So, but no, you're absolutely right. It was a very good project. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. All right.
So we still have one parcel out in Pipestone?
Correct.
that
We
need
do
to
have
address?
one parcel in Pipestone here, and that is the movie theater at 204 Main Street East. I can go through the photos again if you want.
I think we're all familiar with the building. We realize that-
Exactly.
Maybe somewhat out of order here too. Where are we at as far as Doubleday taking that last part down? Is he?
Sure. No, that's actually a really good question, Dan. I received the bill from Centerpoint on yesterday, actually. We're actually gonna have that approved to pay on Friday so that Centerpoint can get in there and do their work next week. Hopefully, next week. It kind of, we're at the hands of them or at the mercy of them to when they actually come down and do that work. I do know that they said that they would prefer to do it sooner rather than later because they don't want to come down and do it around Christmas time.
Could you maybe a little more information on this? So Centerpoint wants to charge us for moving their meter that was put on our bill, that was put on the theater.
They want to charge, yes, there is a $75 fee that must be paid by either us or the other building of the other property owner. And of course, the other property owner said, no, they are not paying it. So in order for this to move along, we would have to pay $75 in order to get the process rolling. So, I mean, it's up to the board if you want. I kind of figured it was only $75, might as well get the ball rolling because Centerpoint, I've tried to argue with them, they will not be going on that property if that fee is not paid.
Where's the meter gonna go once it's taken?
They are just going to cap it. They're gonna take it out. They're just yep, that's why it was only 70. To move it was, I think, $3,000, something like that. Yes.
So what's the property gonna do about heat that meter serves?
We have been in discussion, Wayne and I have actually, well, it's actually Wayne has been in discussion with that property owner, and he's just switching over to LP. And he has no problem with that. We've kept him in on this entire process. He knows that he's not gonna have gas, and he knows he has to go in on that to switch it over to LP, and he's more than happy to do that.
I guess in principle, I have a hard time paying the gas company to do something there should be done in the first point, but I agree, for $75, it's not worth the fight.
Exactly. I completely agree.
That down below the surface, or for safety reasons, where is this? There's still gonna be a stub sticking out of the ground?
From what I've been told,
You don't know that, but.
exactly. I don't know exactly where they're gonna do it. I've expressed to them the safety concerns of the property, and they know for a fact, I mean, they're on us just as, they're on our side here. They don't wanna have a leak or anything like that, so I would assume that they're gonna cut it down low to protect it somehow. Correct. That's what, they made it sound like they're gonna go under the ground and try to cap it off so that they won't have any issues whatsoever, because like they said, they don't wanna have a leak just as much as us.
Did they
So-
acknowledge that perhaps that gas line going through that building to another building wasn't the best thing?
The individual I'm working with expressed that, and he has no idea why it was done that way. Obviously, he was never here for that, and he's just trying to clean up the mess. But yeah, he is not allowed to go onto that property without that fee being paid first. So, I mean,
Once it's capped, you'll be able to move forward and double deke and move in and get.
correct, yes. Yep.
And that should happen relatively soon.
Hopefully, I mean, as soon as it's paid, he said he should be able to have it done in a week or two. Whether that actually gets done, I don't know. I can't hold him to that, but he said it shouldn't take that long.
Interested parties still kind of waiting in the wings there, or?
Yes, I actually, out of the blue, I did receive a call from that individual who expressed interest previously. And I had a discussion with them yesterday about the building, and they said that they are still interested as long as the price is cheap enough that they would gladly take that property.
Let's come back to this discussion. In the meantime, this capping it off, can we just deal with that with auditor warrants, or would you like to have specific action on this?
No, I can speak to that.
Okay.
We actually already have approval for all tax forfeiture expenses to be paid as an auditor warrant. And since this is tax forfeiture, I was just gonna take care of it.
Okay, very
Yep.
good.
Yep.
So
You wanna
then,
leave that auction price this isn't gonna be auctioned yet at this point.
We could, I mean, well, if it gets added and you approve it, it will be.
Work yet here.
Correct. So, I mean, that's kind of up to you guys if you want to approve this after the work is done. You can do a contingent on, we can set the price today, but we cannot sell it until the work is done. You can put that contingent on there and you can set whatever price you want, or you could just not do the work and you can sell it as is. It's completely up to you how you want to do it.
I would suggest $1 contingent on the work being done first.
Okay?
okay.
And I
And I don't have a problem with that, because again, we know we got a negative value here, so putting it down at $1, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Just to remove the liability issues.
Yep.
Right.
And again, as far as assessments on this, looks like the city's got nearly $500 worth of assessment on that. We've already got, what we put in it last year? We put 7,000 into it last year.
7,900, wasn't it?
Yeah.
7,100, 7,200.
And now we're looking at another 3 now, so we're looking at $9,000, $10,000. We could put that assessment on here, but that's gonna discourage or hinder any development of it.
Yeah.
Get rid of it.
I guess if
Costs
we
way
just
more than
absorb
to
that
take the
cost.
rest down.
Yeah.
I guess it would be my recommendation, I can echo Luke here. I mean, since we still have that liability, and even though that individual has expressed interest, obviously there isn't a purchase agreement or anything, so they could easily walk away.
Right.
Even though it's $3,000, obviously it's a sunken cost, but for the liability, getting rid of our liability is much more worth than $3,000 in my eyes, so.
And we've already taken action in the past on the 3,000 expenditure to take that back part down.
Correct.
We've already taken action on that, so we don't need action on the $75 for the gas, so that's out of your budget. So I think we're good to go on this.
Okay.
Again, just to reiterate, the whole concept that we cannot put stipulations on the viability of this person's plan. We can wish them well, and I hope it does happen, and if not, it might come back.
It might come, like, right, we might be kicking the can.
We did offer to the city first, and they didn't.
Okay,
So,
very good.
First cancel.
all right.
Now, we got something in Woodstock to take. a
Yes,
look
we
at.
do have one more parcel here in Woodstock. This one is parcel 21.200.1500 at 401 3rd Avenue. This is, pull this up so you can kind of get it to where it's at. It's on the corner. This is the city shop. This is the Ball Diamond, so it's in the very northeast part of the town. So that just kind of gives you an idea where it's at. Photos. This one is very rough. It looks like the previous owner was halfway through a remodel and just kind of up and left. There is a lot of personal property in this one. It has a pretty good sized garage, and the garage is in good shape, but it is filled to the brim with just stuff. So this is
What was that one that you showed outside? Is that
this one.
yeah,
That is actually the supposed door to the basement.
okay.
Yep. It used to be a door. I didn't really feel like lifting that up to see. It's already collapsed.
I
So.
was wondering if it was a well or something.
Oh, no. So yeah, and we actually, if there are wells, we cap them to
Oh,
make
okay.
sure that they are capped. That is part of our process. Yep.
'Cause, yeah, in the front, the very first picture, was that an old hand pump in front? Is that just decoration? Or
It's
is that
just
actually
decoration,
active? That's
yep.
just decoration there.
Yep, we looked into that. So that is just decoration, just sitting there. Or maybe it worked previously, but it does not work now. So, yep. So the garage.
The other end of the clothesline.
Exactly. And this is the inside. I will say, as you can tell, this is kind of where my hunch that they're remodeling, because there is a lot of materials in there that are in great shape. Nothing's waterlogged or anything like that. But I tried to contact the previous owner, because this one was actually in a confession, and I couldn't get a hold of him. Again, it's kind of hard to get a hold of some people because you just send them a letter, and if they blow it off, you can't get a hold of them. So I just kind of wanted to just take a picture of all of the supplies. This is the front entryway. As you can see, the roof is caving in. There's mold all over the place. It smells like mold. This is the side bedroom. The attic, obviously, it's just, structurally it doesn't look bad, but I know this is kind of there's very awkward rooms, very small rooms, so it's kind of hard to take photos. This is a bedroom that's upstairs. Those are the stairs going up.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And this is the kitchen area with the bed in the middle. And it's just filled with junk at this time, and the cabinets are shot. But as far as all of the water heater and everything like that, I can't speak to that because that was in the basement, and I didn't feel like going down there just because for safety reasons it wasn't worth it. So, yep.
Well, I see you got a basic sale price suggestion here of $1,000, looking at those materials and that double garage there and so forth.
Right.
The materials, is there any question as far as that's not considered personal property, so nobody's got a claim to that? That is part of this property?
It is considered personal property. If the individual, the previous owner, wanted to get it, they could. With that said, once we convey it to them, their claim it's not nearly as strong. And like I said, I've tried to reach this individual several times. I can't get a hold of him. He lives down in Sioux Falls, and I've done everything I can possibly could with it because I have no idea what his phone number is.
It might be good in fairness to make sure that you relay this information to any potential
I do.
bidders on this.
Correct. I do relay that information
That
to
they
them.
may not be able to possess some of that personal property
Yeah.
in there if this other person has a claim. to
Correct.
it.
I will say if once they take it over and if they start using it, so on and so forth, there's not a whole lot the individual can do.
If they get a roll-off dumpster and throw it all in, that's the end of it. And
Correct. Yeah. So that's why we sell everything as is to kind of wash our hands with it and let the
If they want to come back and pay for some of the assessments, they could probably have their materials back.
Correct. Yep. That would be between
Those
the
materials on the back of the old theater.
exactly. Yep.
Roll that plywood down here and nail it on the back of that thing or something.
And this kind of goes back to the very first discussion we had about that one up in Holland with the motorcycles. There again, that's a little different because there's titles for those motorcycles.
Correct. Yep. But it's along the same lines where I try to get a hold of people. That's all you can do. If people don't respond to your letters, so on and so
owner
forth.
could throw those in the roll-off too, and that'd be the end of it.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Correct. So, that is strictly between the new owner and the previous owner, but I doubt that's not going to be a problem in this situation. Yep.
Do you guys want to stay with this $1,000 on this because of that, or do you want to cut it down just to
I
get it
think I'd
moved?
cut it down to $1.
Go it down to
try
$1 just to get it
some
moved?
people bidding.
Because again, if there's interested parties there, it'll bring a little bit more than that.
And there's still,
garage should
there's a
help us
bigger
out.
liability
Yeah,
than that little pile of wood.
Yeah, that garage is full of stuff too, I assume.
It's essentially to the roof, yes.
But the structure looks.
Oh, yeah, the garage itself is very structurally sound. It has a nice garage door on it. It's structurally, the garage is probably the best part of the property.
Got a concrete floor,
Concrete floor, everything. It's a very nice garage in there.
outside of the gravel driveway,
Yep,
or?
yep. So, I mean, it's a good shape, but everything else is shot.
By the time you get rid of all the garbage,
Sure.
demo the house potentially, it'd be a lot of expense.
Well, and again, if somebody can rehabilitate that property, that's good. That's what the
That's
intent
good,
is all about.
exactly. Okay, so we'll set that one at $1. So, now that we have all the basic sale prices and the negotiation with the city all taken care of, so on and so forth, we need to buy a resolution. This is the one that says request for county board action on top. You'll be classifying all these lands as non-conservation land, approval of the basic sale prices, and the authorization of the public sale of the forfeited lands listed on the list that we just went over. And we will also set the auction date for 10 a.m. Thursday, December 27th in 2018. So that's what that resolution is, if I can have that.
So we need to take action on this resolution.
Move for
Correct.
approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded to take action on the resolution presented to us by Tyler. Any further discussion or questions? And again, this resolution doesn't include the ones that we just had for the city. That's been.
Correct, yes. I will reflect that on the list by the time when we actually attach it. So, yep.
Further questions? Okay, all in favor of the motion, aye.
Aye.
And opposed, the same. Passes unanimously.
And the only other resolution that I do need is for the terms of the sale itself. We do have to do that every year. Same terms as always, cash only, or at least cash that same day, so people don't have to bring in money if they don't want to. We do not take credit card, we do not take check, anything like that. It is cash only. It just also goes through the other additional fees. It'd be the 3% surcharge for the state for their work done and in the forfeiture process, the $25 state deed fee, the $46 recording fee, and then a $1.65 deed tax. It also goes over the special assessments that we talked about levy before and after and how those factor in, so on and so forth. So essentially what this is saying is that it's cash only and then the additional fees, so I do need to have that passed by resolution as well.
And a cashier's check is considered cash?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And it has to be at the exact time of the sale or within the end of that?
Within
business
that day, within that business day. So I don't expect people to bring a bunch of money with them to the auction.
Yeah.
But once we determine the price, I do set a deadline of the end of the day to bring that money in.
And if for some reason the high bidder then doesn't make it in by the end of the business day with their cash, then what do we do? Does it go back to the next bidder?
It goes back to being on sale in my office for the basic sale price. That's really, I mean, because since that sale is no longer valid, that's not how the process works. We can't just go to the next person. You just have to offer it in our office. So I would express it to that next person, hey, this is kind of what we did.
They get it cheaper that way.
They might get it cheaper. Obviously, I could bring it to the board. If they come in the next day and they pay the basic sale price, we can't do anything about it. It is what it is. So I understand trying to get some costs out of there, but that's just one of the little loopholes that's in the forfeiture process. So, yep.
So we need to take specific action on the terms of the sale then? Do you have a document for us on
Yes,
that?
it's in the packet. Well, it was in the email.
Okay,
Yep.
very good.
Yep.
Okay, so has it been moved?
Move for approval.
It's been moved and,
It was moved in second.
We're waiting for the vote, I think.
oh, this is new.
That was the first one.
That was the resolution. This is the terms
Another
of the sale.
resolution.
This is the resolution for the terms.
Move the terms.
Correct.
Yep. Chris moved
Okay.
the terms, so you seconded? Okay, moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, passes unanimously.
Perfect. Well, thank you, gentlemen. That's all I have for you.
Thank you.
Until next year, thank you for your hard work, appreciate it. And this is really encouraging that we've got
It'll be
interested
nicer
parties
next
out
year.
there, we can get these things going. And again, thank you, ma'am, for your interest in, and I certainly wish you the best on getting that property rehabilitated.
Awesome. All right. Have a good day, guys.
Tyler?
Okay, we've made it through the agenda items. Is there any other business? Steve, you got anything to bring with us?
Is there any personnel yet?
And then
or
there's
is
a
that-
personnel comment here as well, too.
No personnel today, Mr. Chairman.
Personnel, no other business?
One moment, we have another, I got resolution 593518, notice of the public sale. Well, I've got 36, 37, and 35. We set the terms of the sale. We did 36.
Oh, the non-conservation one must be a separate one. I'd move for approval.
Second.
Thank you.
Seconded?
That's 593518.
And that is in regards to,
This is,
I was thinking it was
It's just the same thing.
3618 was the one that,
I'm not sure. I'm not clear on that.
yeah, it does seem pretty similar. Tyler. There's two different resolutions, a 3518 and a 3618, and they look almost identical.
Which one are you talking about?
we've got 3 resolutions today.
Oh, sorry. The other one is the.
This is the one we haven't done.
notice.
One says
I changed
request
this
for,
up a little bit this year. This was just last year, or I forgot to take that off of there. This is the notice of the public sale. By resolution, you can do this. I looked this up. We actually don't have to do this by resolution. This is essentially just a notice that's gonna be published in the paper for the auction, is all it is. So
okay.
you don't necessarily have to do it by resolution. This is just saying, hey, this is when the auction is, this is the list of the parcels, so on and so forth. So this is one of the steps that I'm actually taking out this year. I just put that in there for your guys' information.
Okay, so we don't need
Yep.
that one?
No, we don't need
Okay,
that one.
all right.
Yep.
We need to specifically rescind your motion?
Yeah,
then?
well-
Okay,
Yeah, sorry about that. I should have clarified that.
thank you for that clarification.
Rescinded.
Okay, very
Thank
good.
you.
Steve, you want to go through upcoming meetings for us then?
Certainly. Notice that our December 1st meeting, our December 4th meeting will not occur as due to the AMC conference. Sounds like we might have some weather this weekend as well going up there, so pay attention to that as well. So that board meeting is canceled, so following that, following Monday the 10th, we'll have our TNT meeting down here at 7 PM. I'll have all the department heads invited, specifically Nick and Joyce. There's always questions regarding highway and any other department heads that want to come. We're always welcome, so we'll have that. Next board meeting then is a regular board meeting on the 11th. So we'll want to take care of committee reports at that meeting since we don't have a first one, so I'll give you a little more time for committee meetings between our last meeting in early November to this one. Following that, we have both of our holidays are on Tuesdays, so December 25th board meeting is now going to be held December 26th, and that was done by motion at our last meeting.
Correct.
And also along with our January 1st, 2019 board meeting postponed to January 2nd due to the holiday as well.
And you've got the public notices already out on that, or the?
Yes, public notice I sent out to the Edgerton and the Pipestone paper, so that'll be in there, and also posted on the bulletin board as
Okay.
per rules and statute. And we talked earlier today, the January 8th meeting will be the organizational meeting, because that will be the first meeting after the new commissioners and elected officials take office. So they take office technically on the 7th, the first Monday. So due to the holiday, Commissioner Johnson pointed out earlier, usually we don't have this issue with the holidays. It's usually a week earlier, but due to the holidays, and the first Monday is the 7th, that's when that'll happen, so. And we'll have both of office at that time for newly elected officials. And we'll get the judge or representative down here to administer the oaths on that day. And then, of course, we'll set all the parameters, normal things of financial institutions, committees, all that stuff on that meeting as well. So we got a lot of time to get that done too, so.
Okay.
Very good.
And last thing, county Christmas party, I didn't put it on there, December 17th, you probably all got notice of that anyway, December 17th, Hatfield Roadhouse. And then if you're planning on attending, just get back with Kathy, just tell her how many are coming, and then what your choices of your entrees are, so we can give Linda and Stan a count of what they need to make.
Kathy did check on that yesterday, and you do not have to choose your entree
Yep.
yet.
Oh, okay.
She checked, Kathy called and checked.
Oh, you can just do it there.
Yeah, it sounded like it. She-
Sounds like it,
'cause
right
we-
away
we
when you
questioned
come,
that.
so they got time to.
Yep.
So-
Right.
Yeah.
And if you want to, Steve, point out again for the people who may be viewing that these Christmas parties, the county Christmas party, this is all individual pay for their own. This is not on taxpayer money.
Correct.
Well
We all,
said.
we all know that. We want to explain that to anybody who might be listening in and wondering what we're talking about. So,
AMC.
Uh,
Cares.
I've got the AMC conference of
Spirit, they better stay home.
AMC conference, I do have the county car reserved. If anybody wants to carpool together, we can certainly do that on Sunday. Well, let me know. If you're planning on traveling on your own, that's fine too. If you are, just drive safely.
sounds good.
Let's hope we can get there, because it sounds kind of iffy right now. So hopefully that'll change and it'll blow through the next, like the last one. Mr. Chairman, that's all I have for today.
Anyone else have any business come before this group? Hearing none, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded to adjourn. It is 10:52. We are adjourned. Thank you.